Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and the rest of you. This is P3, the Perfect Package Podcast. It's time for another Perfect Package. I am Chad.
And with you once again is your boy Dave.
I guess it's not really the perfect package tonight. It's just kind of
It's just kind of the perfect hangout.
kind of thing. We're just chilling,
Perfect chill
on a hot ass day.
It is humid outside.
Yes,
to say the unfortunately humid. I was not happy about the small amounts of time I had to be outside.
I saw you brought a cooler in tonight.
Yeah. So in the spirit of what we're doing, I thought, what better way? Usually when I'm shooting the shit, I got a brewski in hand, something pretty low ABV, water-like, keep me hydrated and get me there. So, whatever.
And I'm drinking coffee.
Well, considering what you've been doing this week so far, coffee seems like mandatory if you're going to be up past, 6 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock at night, drinking coffee. Hey, don't tell me what to do with my Jack Daniels.
I am a fan of putting booze in a hot drink.
Yeah. I can't remember who said it, but God, I loved it. It was because there's all the variations of, how do you like your coffee? I like my coffee like I like my women.
But
my two favorite are, well, the Death Hag one, which is ground up and in the freezer. Or my personal favorite is hot and full of booze.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey now. So it is our 45th episode. So just kind of, we've got something special planned for 50, but 45, we just finished a run with our space series. I thought it would be nice to just kind of take our foot off the gas for a night and just chit chat.
Hell no, all gas, no brakes.
Okay.
I jest. No, I think it's probably a good idea to just have a little bit of downtime, but no reason to skip a week. You just chill and chat. Nothing wrong with that.
So I reached out to our dozens of fans.
Literally dozens.
All around the world. There are 7 billion people in the world, and dozens of them love this show.
I take that as an absolute win.
Yeah. And if we got 2 people listening, I'm happy.
Yeah. Just the fact that we get them from all around the world makes me super happy. Just like, I don't know why, but the thought of some, I don't know, Dubliner in a small apartment listening to our dumbasses go on about nonsense and
busted egg sacks and all
that shit. Yeah, just the idea of it gives me the giggles.
I'm trying to roll back to what the exact number was, but recently I'll find it. I should just look under our messages because it will be
Shut the fuck up, Ryan. How do I TV this?
There it is. No, that wasn't it.
I was actually recently talking about how they need to step up their game in terms of getting things on the TV. Like right now, I use Fire Sticks for everything. Right? We got a Fire Stick on every TV in this house, and we got a lot of TVs in this house. But it's really annoying sometimes when I'm looking for an app that I know exists. And I'm just like, give me an easy search bar. They got all the categories and whatnot, but they don't have just the easy search bar where I go, let me search for the specific app. Super obnoxious. But yeah, I want everything on my TV at this point. I want my podcasts on my TV. I want YouTube not on my, I don't even watch YouTube on my phone really anymore. I just put it on whatever TV happens to be in the room I'm currently working in because it's so easy and so fast to use it. I barely search anything anymore. YouTube recommends. I got my subscriptions. We just need those viewing screens that they have in Fahrenheit 451. And we can just get rid of all the everything else.
Yeah, the 4th of July, we went to the like the Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia triangle, whatever the fuck we were. But anyway, we stayed at a hotel and they had the TV there. You could sync up your iPad or your phone and cast it onto the TV.
Yeah, I mean, we also have Chromecasts.
Uh-huh.
We use those for especially football season. Like we have the primary TV, which plays off of our actual cable. And then the 2 other TVs that are in the living room, because yes, we have 3 TVs in the living room, will have games being broadcast from phones or computers or elsewhere, so that we have 2 games on at all times in Red Zone. It's pretty great.
Just overload.
Dude, you don't even understand. Like people come into the house on a football Sunday and they're just like, what is happening? And then they get overwhelmed. I've had people tell me I'm not coming over to your house. It's too much. I'm like, what? Get your shit together. Watch one game and ignore the other things that are going on if you need to. But I need to look into the matrix for my fucking fantasy teams.
Oh boy. So tonight, the plan is, like I said, we reached out to our dozens of fans to see if anybody had any questions for us, kind of a Q&A episode.
Mm-hmm.
And we got one.
Hey.
And so I turned to the podcasting community, and those motherfuckers delivered.
Oh, absolutely.
We got questions for days from them. I'm going to save our listener question for later because it's a good mid-tier one. I also pulled two cards from our Poddex. Proud sponsor. Poddex. And this kind of goes back to something we were talking about, future guests coming to the show, but we were talking about this earlier. I'm going to kick it off with a Poddex question for you. Dave, as an English teacher or former English teacher, I guess once an English teacher, always an English teacher. I've definitely learned that from you. Oh, you're still dabbling.
Still teach classes at the university.
That's right.
Ladies.
He's an educated man. Works for the university.
That's right. That's right.
He has glasses he can put on too to make it just add to it.
A lot of very fake glasses. Although I was at work today, like, and somebody was asking me about something, and they saw me like looking at my screen, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Look, I got to do this to be able to see." They're like, "You should get glasses," and I was like, "No, we're not there yet." Yeah, I'm definitely getting into the squinty phase of denial that I need glasses.
So the question is, and I'll do my best to answer it in my uneducated way, but what book belongs on everyone's bookshelf?
Oh, shit. That is a tough question. So that's one of those questions. It's like, it's impossible because, like, as again, you asked me the question for the specific reason, but as an English teacher, I can tell you, not dealing with adults either, dealing with kids gives you the perfect insight as to everybody else and how they're going to develop. People have wildly different tastes in reading, like just wild. And that's something that a lot of people don't really explore. It's something you have to explore as an English teacher, because most people just get to say, I don't like reading. And then that's it, right? As the English teacher, you got to take that person and go, yeah, you don't like this kind of reading. You don't like the kind of reading you have to do for school. I would hesitate to say that there's a lot of people in the world who pure and simply just don't like reading. And I honestly think people who could say that realistically probably aren't good at reading. And that's the problem. Not that they couldn't enjoy reading. They just don't, they're not good at it. So just like a lot of people would say, I don't like that thing. But what they really mean is I'm not good at it. If I was better at it, I would surely enjoy it. But anyways, I digress. A book that should be on everyone's bookshelf. Clarification question. Does this mean they have to read it or it's just on their bookshelf?
Do you have a good dust collector book?
Oh, absolutely.
And one people should read?
The book that you have on your bookshelf, just to have it, is Atlas Shrugged. Okay. Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. Because a lot of people have heard of that book, right? A lot of people have heard of that book. I think there are far fewer people than claim they've read that book than actually have read that book.
I don't think the people that did the movie read the book.
I don't necessarily disagree. So just having it on your shelf, if you have Atlas Shrugged on your shelf, it's going to be one that people go, oh, but they're not going to ask you any fucking questions about it. I guarantee you they are not. They're just going to note that it's there, think that you're smart, and keep it moving. That's a great one just to have on your shelf. A great book to read, really, like, this is going to sound super silly, but the first Harry Potter book, like, do yourself a favor. A lot of people love those movies, right? And I get it. It's an enjoyable series of movies. And the first movie is kind of an outlier in the rest because they do get better in terms of their quality as they go on. Although I would say that the third movie is the best in terms of just because Alfonso Cuarón is a fucking weirdo. And that movie just kind of sits as an outlier in terms of how it approaches the characters and their interactions. But the books are really great. And if you read the first one, you'll have a taste of what you're getting into. And I think there's a lot of value in the books that is separate from the movies. Not to say that the movies are bad. The movies are great. I really enjoy them. And it's not one of those, oh, the books are always better type responses. It's just, they're very fun in their own way. The way that they dive into issues and the way that they talk about things and the way that J.K. Rowling sets up the world in that book. Yeah, we could talk about the fact that J.K. Rowling's kind of a turf. Look, I'm not going to comment too much on it because I'm still learning the layout of the land and trying to like navigate it properly. But yeah, some of the shit she says seems very problematic, and I can understand how people in the community would take it as a real problem. I understand that. So I try and separate her because I didn't like J.K. Rowling from jump. She never knows when to shut the fuck up about her own books, never mind about the trans community. So if I had to judge whether or not we should listen to her, I'd say she's not even an expert in her own fucking books. So how about that?
Damn.
What about you? Book you think everybody should get into?
I think it's the book that I got the most into multiple times. And like you said, there people that don't like books can't read good. I can't read good. It's not because I'm illiterate. It's just I don't like big words. I like saying them to sound smart, but I don't like and they're like sounded out, and I'm like, fuck you. I don't know how to sound it out. But American Gods by Neil Gaiman was a solid fucking book. And yeah, it's so many books in one.
Yep.
And that's what I love about it, because you've got your main story, you've got these little like chapter long interludes that don't really make any sense until you read the entire book, and then it all ties together. And then right smack dab in the middle of it, it's in a completely different book of a completely different genre.
Yeah. I agree 100%. That book is so dope. It was the first Neil Gaiman book I read. Have you read any of his others?
Yes. Yes. Anansi Boys is phenomenal.
Super good.
Yeah. Good Omens that he did with Terry Pratchett.
Terry Pratchett.
Pratchett. Yeah. That was solid.
Mm-hmm.
Much like American Gods, the series that the adaptations they did for screen sucked.
I liked some parts of it, but it didn't hold me. It did not hold me watching it. I was like, and I like both of the, I've forgotten, how do I forget their names? Michael
Doctor Who and the other guy.
Yeah, those guys. I like both of them. But and they had chemistry, but man, it didn't hold me beyond some of the parts where I'm like, this is very cleverly written.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. But yeah, I've even like dipped into some of his he did some like quote unquote children's books.
Mm-hmm.
Like The Day I Traded My Dad for Two Goldfish, I think was the name of one of his books. He's got some crazy shit out there, and I absolutely love it. All of his writing I really love. I've read a lot of Stephen King stuff, and I love Stephen King can paint a picture with words. He leaves nothing to the imagination. Cannot end a book though.
Yeah.
His books just end, and it's like, what the fuck?
You know, sometimes, and we all know what I'm talking about, it doesn't need to be mentioned every time, but I feel like it does need to be mentioned every time, because it is what the fuck. I mean, we're talking everybody. The gangbang in it is the preteen gangbang in it cannot be explained away by cocaine and alcohol. It can't. All right, I've been drunk plenty of times in my life, and I was never like, I'm gonna write a preteen gangbang down in my journal. Nah. Even when I was a preteen, the gangbangs in my head were adults. So,
yeah. So yeah,
that guy. But no, I 100% agree. American Gods is super solid.
Super solid. So, this question, we got a lot of questions, so we're gonna keep looping back to her. But Kate from Ignorance Was Bliss, former guest, probably future guest too. She gave us a metric fuck ton of questions, but and most of them are podcast related, so I will give you one of hers. What would you not do an episode about?
What would I not do an episode about? Ooh.
I'm curious where you sit on this. Is there an episode we wouldn't do?
Now, is that a what would I not do an episode for our podcasts, or what would I not be on?
I'm gonna say like on ours.
Oh, there's a ton of things that I wouldn't do on ours. Simply by virtue of the fact that ours is comedy. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's a lot of things that I think are not necessarily taboo in comedy, and it's just some topics require a master's touch
Mhm.
to really even start to delve into, and even then it's dicey.
Mhm.
And while I appreciate that, we're just kind of dicking around and having fun, I think that there's just some topics that uh, our style of humor would not be appropriate to hit some topics. I don't know, not to be a downer, but I wouldn't want to do any show on like sexual violence like that. I don't think we could do anything with that.
No.
So
No,
it's like,
absolutely. And I think too, I don't think really I wouldn't go as far as say that there's things that we wouldn't do. I think we would probably consider anything,
mhm,
but it all comes down to the context that we can do it in.
right.
We'd never do a straight, the perfect, fucking sexual violence night. No, we'd never do that.
No.
But we start talking about what's happening in the busted egg sack and the holodeck, we're treading on that territory.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, look, we had a joke on an episode where I'm hooking up with somebody and you're like, also, happen to have that gun just on you. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I should probably give that to her. Like, that's the closest we're going to get where I'm like, I wouldn't want somebody to feel uncomfortable because we're hooking up and I happen to have a gun. So I'd give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's funny. It's a play on, right? But it's not diving into it in that direction. It's trying to address the reality of those sorts of weird interactions, but sort of, and not even just distancing, but turning it on its head so that it's understood that I wouldn't condone that. And but it's tough, right? Like if you go into something more explicitly trying to talk about that thing, it's not always going to work. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's so much that we wouldn't approach a topic at all. It's just, are we going to make it the focus of what we're talking about? Probably not.
Yeah, I think it definitely comes down to context. So,
And I'm looking at Ryan's comment, the perfect religion. I would love to do the perfect religion as an episode. Are you kidding me? I'd love to do the perfect religion.
coming soon. Season 2.
You asking me, can I talk about cult leaders and all kinds of crazy stuff like this? 100%. My cages are going to come in handy again.
Yeah. All right. Next question is from Joe of Out of Bounds. It's got a Z at the end. That's why I said it that way.
With a Z.
Yeah. Out of Bounds. Forced to either only listen to music forever or watch movies forever, which would you pick?
Fuck. Do the movies have music?
I'm assuming.
Movies.
I would do movies too.
Yeah.
I very rarely listen to music. Ryan, don't listen to that. It's been a long time since I listened to any music. Sorry, Ryan. August 1st, Saturday. So Ryan knows what I'm talking about. He's loving this. No, movies, hands down. I could live without music.
I love music. Like at my house, if it's just hangout time, like spare time in the evenings, music is on the main TV. Well, we're not the type to have just random show on in the background when people are just chilling. We're the type to put on YouTube, let the algorithm do its job, and if we don't like something, we'll skip it. But we're introduced to new music all the time, and we just listen and listen and listen and listen. And it's one of those weird things where like I like music, but people could quiz me on music all day long, and I'd be like, I can't tell you who's the best in this genre. I can't tell you the names of people's songs off the top of my head. Can't tell you the names of people's albums off the top of my head. You do that, and I'm like, but people can start to hum something, and I'm like, oh, I know that song. Well, what's it called? I don't fucking know. What are the lyrics? I don't know. I can kind of follow along. I just know I know that song. I just like the music. It's one of those. I am certainly one of those people who gets pissed off when people are like, "Oh, well, if you don't know about them, are you really a fan?" Yes, fuck off. Yeah, I really like their music without having to know everything about them and their background. Why don't you get a fucking life and enjoy the music? But I would pick movies because they come with music packed into them.
That's true.
Cheating.
That is true too. Next question is from Rafe from Have Not Seen This.
Mhm.
If you could sit down and have a conversation with anyone from the world of podcasting, who would it be?
Question 1. Is it Rafe or is it like Ralph Fiennes?
It's Rafe. I listen to the podcast, so it's Rafe.
So it's an actual Rafe, not Ralph trying to be fancy.
No, it's Ralph. It's Rafe.
I'm gonna let you take this one first. What do you like? I'm interested to hear your answer on this one.
It's for me, it's a no-brainer because it's somebody I really enjoy. I would love to sit down with Kevin Smith.
Okay.
And dig into it, and it's kind of a cop out because he's that was his movie, the bad one. It wasn't bad; it was okay. But he does so much with podcasting now, and I would love to sit and have a conversation with him, and boy, would he talk, because that's what he do. But it's like. The other big podcasters is like no they don't speak to me, so go ahead, let me hear who. Or I got a second. Paul F. Tompkins.
I love Paul F. Tompkins.
Yeah,
I do love Paul F. Tompkins. He didn't cross my mind, but he's pretty brilliant.
Everybody shit.
My answer would actually be Bomani Jones. He does The Right Time with Bomani Jones. He does he works for ESPN, so he does a lot of sports podcasts. But The Right Time is probably my most consistently listened to podcast over the course of years, because he is basically my spirit animal when it comes to being a black man in America, right? He has interesting perspectives on things. And while I don't always agree with him, one of the things that I think is the most important about Bomani Jones is he always explains his thought process thoroughly and completely. I get so mad when I listen to a lot of podcasts, obviously, but I get so mad when I hear conversations between podcasters and then they'll like get into something like not necessarily an argument, but a disagreement on points. And they'll just do a terrible job of explaining why they feel the way that they feel. They'll just skip around things and they'll repeat the same points. And they'll also kind of tiptoe around an issue. And not in that way that, like, some people are like, I say the real, I tell it how it is, da, da, da. Not that. But being able to approach an issue, like you said, it's not about dodging an issue. It's about making sure you approach it the proper way. He does that. He'll talk about the issues that he feels are important. He'll talk about them and explain his thought process and why he feels the way that he feels. But at the same time, he acknowledges his own biases. He'll be like, look, I have this experience and this is my background, which colors the way that I think. And I'm okay with that. Like, as long as I'm not being a problem, I think it's okay that I think differently than other people. And he speaks to a lot of issues that I really care about. And I would love to sit down with him because he is crazy smart. And I really enjoy listening to the things he has to say.
Awesome. I'm going to go back to Kate for a minute because actually I'm going to skip some of those. Sorry, Kate. I don't want to get, because we got a lot of ridiculous ones here and I want to get into the ridiculous ones. Not terribly ridiculous, but This one's a good start of the downward spiral.
Oh boy.
But I'm curious to see what yours is because I really can't think of what mine is. This is from Nikki from Crispy Pickles.
Okay. I love crispy pickles.
What's the most underrated side dish?
Oh. Okay. All right.
I know Dave's got food opinions for days.
The most underrated side dish.
Yes.
Okay. If it's going to be underrated, it's got to be something obviously that's delicious. But I think it's got to be something that's held in decently high esteem. Like, we're not going to talk about things that some people like. And so they're like, oh, it's underrated. And everybody else is like, this shit tastes gross. So no, it's not underrated. It's fucking gross. So it's got to be something that's good. It just doesn't get the play that it should. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with red beans and rice.
Ooh.
Red beans and rice is an underrated side dish. You just don't see it offered a lot of places, but it's not something where people are like, ew, red beans and rice. No, this shit is good. People like it, but it just doesn't get a lot of play. And I think it should get more.
I agree. When I go to Popeyes, red beans and rice, please.
Every time.
If I go to KFC, guess I'm going to get your styrofoam ass tasty mashed potatoes.
Exactly.
Or your runny coleslaw, you know. But yeah, red beans and rice, that's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
God damn. I'm torn on two. One, just because you don't see it, like you said, offered a lot, but it's great. I like it. I remember it from my childhood even. The little cucumber and onion situation where they put the cucumbers and onions in like vinegar or some shit, and I don't know how the fuck they make it. It's good. It's like pickled cucumbers and onions, basically.
It's not a slaw?
Nope. No, it's just like thin sliced cucumbers and some onions, and then they drain all the juice out, flop it on your plate. Go. It's good.
I don't think I've ever had this, but it sounds good.
Yeah, it's good.
I might have to seek this
Hopefully
out somewhere.
I didn't make that up. Hopefully I didn't make that up.
Are you you okay? This is one of my questions to you. I'm gonna call an audible here.
All right.
What is and you know, this is one you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but what's your best I just told the world I grew up as a poor kid story? Like, you tell a story and then you think that shit's completely normal, and then people look at you like, what? And then you realize my family did that shit because we were poor.
God, I don't know. Fuck, man.
Hold on to that one in the back of your head. We'll loop back around to it. We'll loop back around to it.
Okay, shit, man. I don't know. No, underrated side dish though that I think people that everybody knows. I'm going to say green bean casserole too. Why do we only get it on special occasions?
I don't know.
Why can't I have it on a Tuesday?
Green bean casserole. I think people do. Because if you think about it, oh wait, no, I guess that still counts as special occasions. But when you like watch movies and they're talking about like Aunt Claire is coming over and making green bean casserole, but that's kind of a special thing, you know, because usually that's not like, oh, Aunt Claire comes over every Tuesday. It's Aunt Claire is coming over. She's visiting from Florida, putting out the good plates, and we're making green bean casserole.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, it is very good.
Yes. This one, I cannot wait to hear your answer. This has Dave written all over it. I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to sit back and listen because I know this is going to be good because you're going to analyze all sides of it. This comes from Keith, who is the host of the Pop-Up Filmcast.
Okay.
Next, James Bond, Paul Rubens, or Pauly Shore?
Oh, okay. Give me a hot second. Give me a hot second for one reason, because I need to see what they look like now. Because I know that I could take them at their peak, but I also want to consider, for the very specific reason that I think that a good Bond needs to age well, I need to see what they look like now. All right. So that's what Pauly Shore looks like now. It's a bit of hit or miss. It's a bit hit or miss. Paul Rubens, I think he's aged a bit better. All right. So, couple of thoughts just right off the bat. Pauly Shore really talks like that. Okay. He can't, like, obviously it's exaggerated for the films that he was in the 90s and such, but he talks like that. So that's going to be one hurdle to overcome as a Bond. Paul Rubens, on the other hand, is perfectly capable of putting on a slightly more mature voice if asked to. In terms of what I want out of a Bond, I want somebody with sex appeal. Now, Pauly Shore is a dingus, okay? He's got just a vapid face that I don't believe I've ever seen it look serious enough for him to look like some sort of possible sex icon. It's just not going to work. Paul Rubens kind of has like, he also doesn't have like the classic strong jawline, 5 o'clock shadow type look that you would expect out of a Bond. But you pretty him up. He could be pretty. I think he could be pretty dapper. You put Paul Rubens in a fucking tuxedo
With a bow tie.
With a bow tie, slightly too large, just a little bit, just as a nod. You know what I mean? And you give him a martini. I got money on Pee Wee Herman as a better Bond, just by virtue of the fact that he's gonna rock a tuxedo way better than Pauly Shore is gonna look goofy in a fucking tuxedo. He's just gonna look goofy in a fucking tuxedo.
I agree 100% with this. Totally. I can see Pee Wee Bond a lot more than I can see the Weasel.
Shaking that stud.
Yeah, buddy.
It's just not gonna work.
No, it's not gonna work.
I think Paul Rubens could fucking rock it.
I think he could too. Remember Pee Wee's Big Adventure when they show the movie at the end that's based on his life, and they have him as the bellhop, and they dub his voice. They'd have to do that for the Bond movie.
Oh yeah,
Mr. Herman, Mr. Herman. God, that'd be great. Holy shit, that's good. All right, I'm gonna jump over to another Keith, friend of the podcast, Keith Palooza.
Hey.
He asked questions right on brand for this podcast. Would you rather have penises for arms or an arm for a penis? You're covering up your face because you've had this conversation before.
In fact, I've had this conversation before. Keith is actually downstairs right now yelling at the dogs to be quiet because I'm recording.
It's nice.
It's an interesting question, but it's one that's all too easy to answer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The prospect here is penises for arms or an arm for a penis, right? So we break it down simply. If you've got dicks for arms, you got one of two things happening. You got dick-sized dicks where your arms used to be, in which case, useless. Or you've got arm-sized dicks, where your arms used to be equally useless, except for maybe the hilarity of slapping somebody with an arm-sized dick. You're missing out on opposable thumbs. This is what has made man superior to other creatures. So I know. Then the other prospect is I've got an arm-sized arm where my dick used to be, or I've got a dick-sized arm where my dick used to be. Win, fucking win. Like, if I've got I got a big old arm, like a literal, well, not really a third leg, a third arm that I gotta hide in my pants. Like, all right, that's inconvenient, but it articulates better. It's got musculature. I can grab shit. This is a third arm. That's useful, man. That's useful. And then if it's like a little baby arm sized dick, cool. Make a fist and go to Pound Town, baby. You're fine. And then.
But wait, there's more.
You can be fucking and fingering at the same time. The same time, my guy. Because you're all in there and this arm's going crazy, doing all kinds of shit. Because the fine control that you don't have with a dick, you now got fine control with an arm. You're just in there searching. Right? Then you're like, oh, there it is. She's good. Poke, 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 poke.
Whew. Wow.
You'd be fantastic.
Not into that. Whew. Boy.
Although I think you would never get a blowjob ever again. Nobody's putting like a weird dick arm in their mouth.
No.
I mean, there are people who would, but I don't know. I don't think I could resist the temptation to like literally grab somebody's tonsils. But
Holy goddamn. You put thought into that.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. No, I was like, penises for arms. The only usefulness I find there is party tricks.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go to that kind of party.
That's that's at Jabba's Pleasure Palace. That's too degenerate for Jafar's Pleasure Palace.
No. 100%. So, moving right along here. This is from Derek from Rolling Misadventures. Also does a podcast called Life World with our friend Kate. Simple question, highly contested. Taco or burrito?
Wow. I think that's the first one to actually like stump me, because there are a lot of upsides to both.
Mm-hmm.
Based on my own history,
Mm-hmm.
burrito. I like to wrap shit up, and usually if I'm wrapping it up burrito style. Full wrap. Ah, man, but tacos are great also. But you can put more. You ask me what you can put in a taco, it's not going to be as many things as you could put in a burrito.
No.
A burrito has structure that a taco can't achieve. So yeah, burrito.
And I would
That's
go
my
with
final
taco.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Why is that?
I would take a flat of tacos over a burrito the size of my arm.
Is
now,
that
if I
just
had burritos
convenient?
for arms, no. Now, if we're going there, burrito downstairs. No.
What would a taco dick
Rabbit.
even do?
Yeah.
Because here's your problem: tacos are always spilling.
Yep.
You
You don't
touch
want
them.
that.
You spill stuff spilling out. You don't need that.
No, don't need any of that. No, but I think I like burritos. I like tacos.
Mhm.
I'll take a taco over a burrito because I got spoiled in California with burritos.
Mm.
California does burritos different, and it's a stupid thing. They put French fries in their burritos.
Oh yeah.
And if Chipotle would put French fries on their menu as an option in your burrito, I would be there every day. But they don't.
Do you do that shit at home?
Yeah. So, but tacos, I like a soft taco. I don't like a hard taco. I like a soft taco, and I like a corn tortilla, not a flour tortilla. I like an old school, and I like minimal toppings.
I'm flour over corn all day.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll take flour over corn. Something about it, just the texture to me is superior.
Mm. Yeah.
And my big break there between tacos and burritos, breakfast. I've had breakfast tacos. Weak.
Yep.
Breakfast burrito superior.
I agree.
And that's my breaking point. I can have tacos or burritos for lunch. I can have tacos or burritos for dinner. Breakfast, I'm going burrito every time.
All right. Ready for another interesting one?
Let's do it.
It's not penis arms, but it's different. This one's from Kate. What smells better, crayons or Play-Doh?
Crayons.
Really?
Hands down. Play-Doh smells like ass.
Now, my gut on this was Play-Doh because I know what Play-Doh smells like. I can't think off the top of my head what crayons smell like.
Really?
Yeah. But I can tell you what Play-Doh smells like. Salty ass.
Yeah. They're fucking awful. Crowns. And I do like to switch it up between crayons, and crowns.
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 Crayola.
Yeah, no. Crayons smell like, I don't know. They're just a good smell. It's pretty neutral for the most part, but man, a fresh box of crayons smells, I don't know, it smells like childhood. It smells like innocence. It's one of those happy smells. Whereas Play-Doh smells like salty ass. And I hate it. So there's that. Though, this is specifically if we're talking about Crayola brand crayons. Don't give me no knockoff shit. Some of those knockoff crayons smell bad. I'm looking at you, Rose Art. Fuck out of here.
Whew. Yeah. Crowns. Just quick, and since he's in here chatting up a storm here, and at least on my feed, I don't know how yours is, Dave, but my feed, there's a good 4 to 5 minute delay before I'm seeing Ryan's comments pop up.
I'm getting about no, it says 7:50 and it's currently 7:53, and I saw it like a minute or two ago, so not that big of a delay.
Right. So Ryan,
have you seen your mom's comment yet?
Nope.
All right, then, yeah.
Yeah, it's a delay. All right, Ryan, bring us home. You get the last question. We've got a couple more, so make it good. We're counting on you to bring it home. I'm going to go with I'm going to do two-parters. One I'm adding to, one I'm just going straight from the question we got. So this one is from Jeffrey. He put Jeffrey So I'm going to call
Jeffrey.
him Jeffrey. From the TB and J, T as in Tom, B as in boy, and J podcast. This is a good one. It's a two-parter. What's your preferred jelly / jam / preserves for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
Okay.
And part 2 is crunchy or creamy peanut butter.
Okay. Part 1's actually harder. Part 2 is easy. Crunchy. Crunchy all day. Crunchy's the best. Because texture. That's why. I'm gonna be a basic bitch and say Smucker's grape jam. Okay. I am more of a jam person than a jelly person. Because I like the smoothness of jam in terms of spreading. But then once you've spread it, it maintains a grittier texture than jelly. So jam is easier to spread, but maintains a grittier texture, whereas jelly, you gotta like lump it and then spread it, and then it gets real smooth. So I'm gonna go with jam, Smucker's grape jam, although strawberry also real good. And then crunchy peanut butter. As the crunchier, the crunchier the better. Honestly, you get me something that's like basically crushed up peanuts that's held together by a peanut paste. I'm good. How about you, Chad?
I'm gonna say strawberry jam.
Mhm.
Definitely strawberry jam. But I prefer creamy over crunchy. I don't it tears up your bread when you're trying to spread it.
Stop using shit bread. Get better bread. If your bread is falling apart because of your peanut butter, you're using shitty bread. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Also, life pro tip, another one of the reasons why I prefer flour tortillas is because making a PB&J on a flour tortilla, that's my shit. That's my shit.
100%.
Little PB&J flatbread.
Mm-hmm.
It's super portable and you don't get crumbs everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
No crust to worry about either.
All right. All right. So final question from the list. I'm checking to make sure still nothing from Ryan. So we're moving forward. Again, two-parter. We'll break it up. What do you love about podcasting?
A lot, obviously, or else I wouldn't do it. But I think what draws me to podcasting is honestly something that I've talked to some of my friends about. It's a gripe that I've had with people for a very long time, and that's that I don't think people have enough discussions anymore. In our everyday lives, we discuss stuff for work. If we work on, project based stuff, or if we, obviously you have to communicate with people. And I think people have discussions sometimes with their loved ones, some of the necessary ones, like if you're giving your kids the talk or you're breaking up with somebody, some shit like that. But I don't think people really talk about their feelings or just things that they like or ideas that they have in genuine conversations with people that they know, right? Like you could easily go to a comment section and see people screaming at each other. You can easily go to some sort of forum and see people who don't know each other trying to convince each other of things, and that's got some merit. But I mean, talking to people who know you, talking to people who are going to cut through your bullshit, talking to people who are going to not intentionally misinterpret you or any of those things, where you can be raw, you can be real, you can be yourself and really hash out a topic, whether it be something that's super silly like what would be your perfect movie that you put together that takes place on Mars, or something super serious like what kind of topics do you not want to approach or you wouldn't want to approach and why. Those are the types of conversations that can bring people together. I think that's why we've known each other for a year, like legitimately. Like I met you a year and a half ago because I met you from when I came in to interview. But I didn't start working there until 6 months later. And we've been talking at least once a week, having conversation, bouncing ideas off of each other, learning about our preferences, our likes, our dislikes, how we approach the world, and just getting insights into the way that each other think for a year solid now. We've not missed a week of conversation, or at least if we missed a week, then we had two in another week. You know what I mean? And I think that's brought us very close in terms of, you know, we get along, we understand each other. I think at this point, there's not a whole lot that you could say or do that would pivot off my opinion of you, because at this point, because we've had so many conversations, and even though we don't interact all the time, because we've had so many conversations, I kind of have a pretty good idea, even in just a year, of who you are as a person and where you stand. So you could probably say something sideways, and my first initial thought wouldn't be, man, Chad's fucked up. It would be, man, I wonder why Chad thinks that. Let me ask him. You know what I mean? And so that's what draws me to podcasting, is it's people talking to each other about things. It's people getting to know each other, and their audiences get to know them as well. You know what I mean? Like some of the, I mentioned earlier, I would love to talk to Bomani Jones. As I said, it's a lot of things that I don't agree with him about, but I think, again, there are a lot of things that he could say that the average person, or people who don't listen to him rather, might misinterpret, where I'd go, I wonder what he thinks about that, and I'd love to ask him about it. And so the draw to podcasting for me, not just in what we do, but across the board, is really getting to see people have real conversations about topics ranging from silly to serious, and really getting to understand people's thought processes as they hash out their thoughts on a topic and really dive deep on something. That's what I really love.
Yeah, it's podcasting is, I think, one of the greatest outlets there is. For me. This is therapeutic. I mean, I don't get on here and talk about my feelings and, you know, get all in my feels about shit on here. There are people that do. Mm-hmm. And it's fucking annoying. No, it's good for them. That's their bag. But for me, it's that, for the hour and a half that I sit in front of this microphone, is just nothing else matters. For 90 minutes, I can just shut off everything in the world. I had a shit day at work. That's cool, because I'm going to go talk to my friend and we're just going to have some laughs. Probably at my expense, but it's worth it, And I am, and what's funny is you'd never know it with some of the things that I do in my free time. That sounded dirty, but it's not. I am a terribly shy person, and I'm not really introverted. I guess I'm introverted unless I can be the center of attention, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's like I would never I'm never that person at a bar that's like being boisterous and drawing attention to myself. But if you put a microphone in my hand or you put a microphone in my face, nothing else matters.
Mhm.
You put me in front of a room of people without a microphone, I will fidget, I will pace, I will go crazy. You put a microphone in front of me and I'm cool as a cucumber, I can talk for days. This microphone is my security blanket when it comes to public speaking and stuff like that. So, and in many ways, it's, you know, it's a symbol. This is what I hide behind, but so people can't see this face. But anyway, but it's like I am one of the most, self-deprecating, self-loathing people you will ever meet in your life. I love making fun of myself, and that's just who I am. And it's because it's like in the new day and age, the new culture, the cancel culture or whatever. People don't like that anymore. They do not like people making fun of themselves. No, you matter, you count. And I was like, oh no, I don't. Let me hate myself. God damn it. It's hard. It's hard being like that. But no, I mean, podcasting before you, I did a show by myself that was ass. And then I did a show for almost 2 years with my friend Kim, who's out in California. Still trying to get her on here, but she's California and we can't figure out that East Coast, West Coast time difference. I can, but she can't. She's like, yeah, let's do it at 9:00. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, 9:00, I'm sitting there and she's like, no, 9:00 my time. I'm like, that's midnight here.
Yeah, you mean tomorrow?
But yeah, she was so fun to do the show with, but but unlike this with you and I, she wanted to do a show that we weren't doing. It was two different things. We had good chemistry. We gelled. We did it for 2 years. We did it for a year before we even met face to face. And when people found out that we did it like this before quarantine was a thing, people were blown away that we were not sitting in the same room when we did it, because we were off of each other and we were gelling. But it's, and it was ultimately, that's what did it in, was just the fact that it was, I wanted to talk about the things happening in the world and make jokes about things. And she wanted to play sound clips. It was like, here, let's play this sound clip and then riff on it, and play this sound clip and riff on it. And I'm like, I'm not trying to get sued for playing sound clips. So fuck it. So anyway, no, it was fun. I've got them all, and I've occasionally gone back and listened to some of them, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's very therapeutic to do. And I've made the joke many times, and it's true. Podcasting got me off the stool more than once. And that's why I do it. I absolutely love it. And, it gives me an outlet to, throw my bullshit out in the world, whether people listen or whether they don't. That really doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I would love to have more than dozens of fans. Maybe even a baker's dozen. A couple baker's dozens.
I don't trust bakers.
Yeah, I don't trust them either. But no, that's my my riff. Did Ryan ever give us a question?
Yeah, have you not seen it yet?
No.
All right, I'll toss it to you.
Far behind I am.
I'll toss it to you, and then you go on it, because I've been thinking about it for a while, because it's been up for a good 4 or 5 minutes. If aliens came to Earth and offered for you to go live with them rather than stay on Earth, would you do it?
Can I design their ship? And can I bring my friend Dave and my podcast equipment?
Uh,
Can I pack before I go? Because I'd like some comfortable shoes, a jacket. um, do they have a holodeck?
dude, if they got a holodeck, the answer is 100% yes and immediately. Let's go.
I would probably go.
Um,
I
that's
would
a
probably go.
it's a great question. It is a great question. Because there are a lot of factors, right? Like I'm sitting here and I'm like leaving everybody behind. Yeah, I think I would have some questions. I'd be like, what's my possibility of still chatting with my people? I would be like, all right, if it's just me, do you have the technology so I can still do my weekly podcast? Like, can I still chit chat it up with Chad? You know, call my mom every now and then. Can I still do those sorts of things? Um, but I think I would be very interested just because it would be wild, man. Like going off to live with aliens. Are they hot? Is an important thing. Because if you're telling me telling me I got to beat off for the rest of my life, because we just can't. I can't be getting it with aliens. Like, are we talking Star Trek green ladies? Because all right, I'm thinking about it now. But if it's like some weird xenomorph, too many mouths, aliens, I can't. You could be cool as hell. I'm not going to be able to hang around with you because I'm going to be freaking out every now and then when I wake up and it's just like, oh shit, forgot that you had, three mouths that came out of each other. Sorry, did not mean to freak out. No offense meant.
Oh my gosh. I think I would have questions for him as well. But my big question would be, they drop down and they're like, you bald man. I don't know why they talk like you, you bald man. You come and live with us, and leave Earth behind. I think my first question, I would question their judgment because why the fuck would they pick me? All the people on the planet, why the fuck are they picking me? What did I do? Who do they know? And then if they say, you're going to do great things, then I'll know they're full of shit and I'm out.
Y'all are some bullshitters. Is this
You
some
just
sort
got
of
that probe thing you're going to,
you're either gonna probe me or this is some sort of pyramid scheme that I don't know about? Where I gotta go to other planets now and recruit other people.
He's like, yes. If you come with me on this, why did you pick me? And he says, look, sir, I am a prince from Nigeria.
Nigerian 7. And I have a whole lot of astro gold that needs to be transferred, but I can't access it. You are the only one. I'm like,
on this green planet you call Earth.
if you help me transfer all my astro gold, I will give you a lot of it. It is very valuable. Like, get the fuck out of here. How'd you even get here?
Oh my god. That was a good one, Ryan. Thanks for that.
That is a great question.
I'm gonna give you one more out the door. Because I like this one. This is a good one to end on.
Okay.
High note, possibly a positive note from you. Courtesy of our friends at Poddicks.
Okay.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh, farts. Okay. This one has what some people would consider a negative bent to it, but I consider it to be a very positive thing if applied properly. And she doesn't listen to the podcast, which is good because I think she would disown me if she ever did. But my mom, when I was a kid, right? I used to be I was a very quiet kid. Like you wouldn't know it to know me now. I was just like I would be in my own corner, and my mom always told me that she could give me a book because I learned to read very early, and I was always a huge reader. She could give me a book, and I would go sit in the corner, and you wouldn't have to watch me for hours. I would just be chilling with my book. Even if it was with toys, I'd make up stories in my head, and I would just be in my corner playing with my toys, not bothering anybody, not talking to anybody. When I got to middle school, I became very angry. Um, Also, something that those who know me very closely would know that I used to have a lot of anger issues, but I've worked on those over a course of time. And one of the best pieces of advice that I got to help me overcome some of those anger issues came from my mom. And the reason I was an angry kid in middle school, there were a variety of reasons, but one of the things primarily is that I ended up making friends with a lot of people for the same reasons that I get along with people now, which is I'm decent at talking to people. You know what I mean? Like I get along with people pretty quickly. I'm good at sussing out how people feel about things and sort of asking them questions about how they feel about things. And that benefited me, especially when we moved to Delaware and I had to make a meet new people. So I was, that they show the in movies where you have like that first day where people are like, oh, it's the new kid, and like if they're not awkward, they're like, oh, new kid's cool. I want to be friends with the new kid. That's kind of worked out for me, and I ended up meeting a lot of people. But at the same time, when you make a lot of friends, you're also going to make a lot of fake friends. Um, and so I did take a lot of things very personally because I didn't I had enough from reading and learning about all these different characters that I could put on the face that I needed to put on to be friends with people. But I considered it being genuine me because at the same time, while I might be speaking a little bit differently, um, or I might be showing my different interests because that's what you're interested in. I never lied to anybody. I never put out something that I didn't actually believe or told somebody something I didn't believe. But eventually you get to the point where people see, they want you to be a part of their group, or they want you to see things the way that you see them, or they see them. And I just didn't see things the same way. And so they would turn on you. I took a lot of that really to heart while trying to maintain these friendships with people that really didn't care about me as much as I cared about them. And one of the best pieces of advice I got from my mom was sort of the idea that, and this is the negative aspect, be okay with leaving people out of your life. Give them the opportunity to remain a part of it, right? Don't be so aggressive that like at the first signs that you and somebody may have like an issue that you just drop them like a bad habit. But be okay with the idea that there will be people that at first it seems like they're going to be a big part of your life. You'll be friends, great friends, friends for a really long time, and you grow apart naturally. You break off friendships because of real serious ideological differences that just are deal breakers for you. Don't feel like you have to mourn those friendships to the point that it negatively affects you. Don't feel like you have to foster every single little interaction that comes along and let that dictate how you feel. And so over the course of my life, that's become something of a mantra for me, which is I know that I'm always prepared to cut somebody out of my life. And that's the part where people go, damn, that's cold blooded. And I'm like, it's not as bad as it sounds. It's not like, again, it's not like somebody says something sideways and they're done. And it goes back to what I said earlier about the reason that I love discussing things with people and I love podcasting because, like I said earlier, I've only known you for a year, but I think it would take a lot for me to go, I'm done with Chad at this point because we know each other well. But if we got to a point where you and I just could not come to see eye to eye on some crucial issue, or, we fundamentally just started to become so different that it didn't work out in terms of hanging out with each other, I would be upset that I'd lost a friend, but it wouldn't allow it to then color who I am moving forward. And I think a lot of people are holding on to or creating toxicity for themselves. Maybe not even holding on to toxicity from previous relationships, whether they be friendships or, romantic relationships, but just creating toxicity for themselves as they interact with the people that they are still friends with, or the people that they are currently dating, or whatever. And it doesn't have to be that. You can remember, you can learn lessons from, but just don't let it color everything that you do moving forward, because it's just going to drag you down. And I think that's the best piece of advice for me personally that I've ever gotten.
See, in any normal episode, that would be the end. That's your PSA this week.
That's my PSA.
Fuck, man, that's good. That's really good. Mine's hokey and doesn't make half as much sense as what you said, but it does in a sick sort of way, because mine actually comes from when I was going through school for X-ray, to be an X-ray tech. I was in the military at the time. And military school is a hell of a lot different than, going to college, because, X-ray is a 2-year, I think it's a 2-year thing. And their 2 years is, or is it a 4-year? Is it 2-year? I don't know.
X-ray, I think, is 4 regularly.
Yeah. 2 years of all your prerequisite bullshit, and then
clinical
2 years of actually doing stuff. And their thing is, it's like, oh, you're going to be, maybe 4 days a week in the hospital the last, maybe year that you're in school. And then up to that point, you're going to class for maybe 2 hours a day, 2-3 days a week. And that's it for 4 years. That's your life. In the military, X-ray school is 1 year, and it's 6 months in the classroom, and that's 12-hour days. Damn. 5 days a week. And every Saturday and Sunday, you're working in the hospital taking X-rays.
Damn.
Learn it. So you are working 7 days a week for 6 months. And then for the next 6 months, you are working 6 days a week taking X-rays in the hospital, all shifts. They rotate you through. So you learn fast. In the course of that year, you have 66 tests you have to take. You can fail. I want to say 12. No, you can fail. Shit. No, it's 6. It's 6 of 66. Yeah, because it was 666. I'll never forget that now. 14's when I turned the corner. But I failed 5 of the first 10 tests. Damn. And was on borrowed time. After that, the next 4 tests, I failed all 4 of the next 4 tests by 1 question, and then they ended up throwing a question out. So I made it by 1. And then and I was like, they said, what are you doing wrong? It's like, you're in class 12 hours a day. What are you doing? And I'm like, I study for 2-3 hours every night. And this guy pulled me aside, and best advice I ever got. He said, stop trying to learn shit. And I said, but I'm in school. And he's like, don't learn it. Know it. You'll learn it when you start doing it. And from that point forward, I never got below a 95 on a test. And I was out drinking every night. Instead of studying, I was having a life. I was going and watching bands play and going to every concert I could and fucking having the time of my life. But it made sense after he said it. And it works in everyday life. Stop trying to learn shit. Just you'll learn it as you go. Just know what you need to do, and then you'll learn it. So it's not as impactful as yours, but
nah, man, that shit ain't hokey. You just told a teacher something that I try to fucking get people to understand all the time in a way that is way more effective than anything I've ever come up with to explain that shit to people. So
Yeah. Stop trying to learn it. Just know it. You'll learn
Yeah.
it later.
yeah,
Fucking worked. Got
I
me
agree.
there. Got me to where I am today.
Hell yeah.
And where I'll be in 5 days, but we're not talking about that on here yet. Whoo, yeah. Yeah. Check us out in a couple weeks. We'll have a nice little conversation.
Oh yeah.
You know. So yeah, I think that's we've did a whole fucking hour of PSAs here. So that's it for this week. Lots of cool episodes queued up for you in the coming weeks. Episode 50 is going to start off another series for you as we charge into quickly approaching our 1 year milestone, because you said don't ever say anniversary. We're not there yet.
Not quite.
But yeah, it's going to be our 1 year birthday here on the show, and we will celebrate with a special episode then too. But I am really excited. We've got some great guests coming up. We've got True Crime Podcaster coming up. We've got well, hell, I'll just drop a couple names here. Nobody knows them, but we go with that. We got Ariel from Malice Podcast and Podcast the Podcast. Great name.
That is honestly one of the best podcast names ever.
Yeah. Podcast the Podcast. We've got us doing an episode again solo. We've got some other ones coming up, and of course we've got Megan from Oh No Lit Class, which is my new favorite podcast. Dave, instead of a PSA this week, do you have any podcast recommendations?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I'm gonna pull out my list so I don't fucking forget anybody important. But some of the ones off the top of my head, they're kind of not excuse me, they're not quite niche, but they're certainly ones that you might be interested in. How Did This Get Made is one that I thoroughly enjoy. That is Paul Scheer, June Diane Raphael, and one of my personal favorites, Jason Mantzoukas, where they every other week they watch a bad movie or a movie that is ridiculous, and then they just talk about how it got made. Kind of dive into what's going on in the movie and why it's so ridiculous. That's one of my ones that I've been listening to for the longest. Two, I'm going to give you Not Another D&D Podcast. I'm sure at this point I've mentioned plenty of times how much I enjoy D&D. It's super fun. I enjoy it. Not Another D&D Podcast is one of those ones that is just it's 3 long-time improv comedians playing with a DM who is a long-time improv comedian. And so they play D&D. There are a ton of episodes, a lot to binge. It's a super funny, super fun. And if you've ever been interested in what D&D can be or what it's like, give it a listen. Super fun. And then my last one is one that actually just came back up. I actually just became a patron of them on Patreon to listen to their more recent episodes. They switched over to mostly Patreon. And that's Old Gods of Appalachia. And that one is, I binged the entire first season of theirs on a road trip to Boston. And it was wild, man. So it is a mixture of sort of, I mean, the whole Appalachian mountain people, sort of semi-southern backwoods lore, mixed with European, like, pre-Christian lore as well. And it's Old Gods of Appalachia. It's these stories about, these people who are dealing with devils and demons that aren't the Bible's devils and demons. These are more like people, more relatable, more realistic, and it's a ongoing just story that's being told in these half-hour to 1 hour segments that are pulled together. It's the narrator. His voice is the closest to Liquid Sex that I've ever heard. It is like, I've never understood how people can get just like hyped up over a southern accent. That dude has a voice that makes me just want to fight somebody to get to it. It's pretty awesome. And the stories are great. The stories are super engaging, super compelling. They make you want to listen to the next episode, which is why I was like, oh shit, they're on Patreon making new episodes. I'm after it. So I would suggest everybody give a listen to that one as well.
Hells yeah. For me, I would say, my newest discovery is Oh No Lit Class. It's to English literary type people that break down the biography of a famous author and then go through some of their well-known works. They do it in a very humorous and a way, very on brand for the kind of the stuff we do. They make a lot of jokes that would fit well in here. That's why Megan's coming on the show. There's an audio drama that's gearing up for its big release that is called Seen and Not Heard. It is the story of a girl who gets sick and loses her hearing. So a podcast about being hard of hearing in a hearing world. But there is a bit character who is in the prologue and also at least after episode 5 that is one part of the team behind the Perfect Package podcast.
Ooh.
So if you want to check that out, the first prologue is out, which is I play James, who is a sign language teacher.
Okay.
And the little prologues are like 4-minute long little ditties, so you can go check that out. My old standby is Hello from the Magic Tavern, of course, with our buddy Adal Rafai. Hey Riddle, also with Adal Rafai. If you like The Office, of course, Office ladies, you got to listen to that. Angela and Pam from the show. Also, I found there is a podcast called The Office and Oral History, which is hosted by Brian Baumgartner, who played Kevin on the show. And deep dive behind the scenes. His is more of the oral history of the show, where the Office Ladies is an episode, like an episode by episode breakdown. So if you want to do that, Fran and Kathy are friends over at the Real Queens of Queens. I do still listen to that. Of course, Capes on the Couch.
Absolutely.
And many other podcasts. So many. I'm scrolling, and I'm like, I don't have time to talk about all these, but there's some good ones out there.
Yeah, if you hadn't mentioned our friends Uncle Tony and Doc Issues over on Capes on the Couch, I was gonna do that.
Yeah, they just did Reader.
They did Reader. Yeah,
Reader. Oh, and if you want a great episode of theirs, they did Eeyore.
I listened to that one,
and it was phenomenal.
It's a great episode. It is a great episode.
Yeah. So more things coming in the near future. I'm going to have a little more time to fluff up the social media action.
Going to be a fluffer, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to be a fluffer for social media. It's good to have goals in life. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe us wherever you find us. Tell your friends about us, God damn it, if you haven't. And till next time, if there is a next time, we'll talk to you then.
Deuces, y'all.